created to deceive them.
Open your eyes.
If you've ever had this feeling that something was terribly wrong with the world that we live in, but you couldn't figure out just what it was, then you've come to the right place. Secret societies, mystery religions, and the Illuminati have been controlling our reality since the beginning of time. But not anymore, because there is an awakening happening, and you are about to become a part of it. Wake up, because this is a call for an uprising.
Together, these world-leading technology giants are announcing the formation of Stargate. So put that name down in your books, because I think you're going to hear a lot about it in the future. A new American company that will invest $500 billion at least in AI infrastructure in the United States and very, very quickly, moving very rapidly. New American company that will invest $500 billion at least in AI infrastructure in the United States.
I mean, with artificial intelligence, we are summoning the demon. You know those stories where there's the guy with the pentagram and the holy water, and he's like, yeah, you sure you can control the demon? Didn't work out. I mean, with artificial intelligence, we are summoning the demon.
This is a call for an uprising. Welcome to today's show. You heard it. I've been warning about it. Donald Trump announced his $500 billion Stargate plan to bring about AI infrastructure into our government. And I played for you that other clip of Elon Musk talking about how with artificial intelligence, we're going to be summoning the demon. I will continue to warn the best that I can, and I will put something together right here that you should be able to share with people so that they can come out of the matrix and understand that both sides are controlled and they're distracting you with nonsense while they are literally bringing in the New World Order infrastructure, which is the AI governance. So what you just heard was literally Donald Trump talking about his $500 billion plan, and they used the name Stargate, and I'll get into that later in the video of why they chose Stargate, the tie-in between artificial intelligence and Project Stargate, which was another CIA creation that practiced telepathy and remote viewing, all things that you're going to see moving forward with the Neuralink and Elon Musk and artificial intelligence being normalized. So, Donald Trump talks about this, right? While they're meeting at Davos, while they're meeting at the World Economic Forum, the main topic is AI Governance Alliance. That is the core of what the World Economic Forum is. You won't hear Alex Jones, you won't hear the bought and paid for controlled alt-right media talking about this topic. So when Donald Trump announces this, this is what they do. Because remember, Donald Trump is a creation of the so-called deep state. As Albert Pike once said, whenever the people need a hero, we shall supply him. When you control both sides, this is how you prevent revolutions from occurring. They present a hero. And while he's bringing in AI governance, 99.9% of MAGA and his followers don't have the slightest clue of what that means. And 100% of the Democrats don't have the slightest clue of what that means. Artificial intelligence governance is the control grid. It is the Tower of Babel reborn. It is a system of total control. So what they're doing while they're telling you they're bringing AI governance is they're doing things like DOGE, right? The Department of Government Efficiency. Elon Musk planned to cut $2 trillion in federal spending. They're distracting you with stories about government officials being held accountable for their time showing up on the taxpayer dime. All these things that sound great to your ears, but they're telling you this stuff so that you want AI governance, less government officials in power, more technology in power, which means more control. Because guess what? Individuals in power are not going to have as much control over you as artificial intelligence is, especially when they implement the digital ID, which is exactly what they have planned with all of this border psychosis that they've created to make you want a digital ID. So that's what Elon Musk is doing at the same time that Donald Trump is bringing in AI infrastructure, right? This is what the media is doing to all the MAGA people out there. This is how you distract people. This is how you keep them in a psychosis without them being able to realize what's actually occurring. It's called surface level thinking. All the stories out there about Trump's first 24 hours, you don't hear a peep about him talking about curing cancer with gene editing. You don't hear a peep about what this really means with AI infrastructure and AI governance. What you hear about is Trump defending his stance on pardoning people who went after the police on January 6th. Alex Jones just feeding into this government psyop of the January 6th event, which was staged and created by the government. Okay, it's official. The DC police are holding 20 pardoned January 6th political prisoners hostage. What are the other stories out there that Jones and all these mainstream alt-right people are tweeting about? Trump signs executive order forcing entitled pampered federal employees to show up for work. Elon Musk pretending to work on taxpayers' money. No more, not acceptable, right? Keeping you distracted. Trump directs all federal DEI staff to be put on leave and eventually laid off. And of course, the latest thing that they did on the same day that he announced $500 billion for AI governance infrastructure, which is the model of the New World Order. It's the blueprint of Klaus Schwab and the Fourth Industrial Revolution. You could read the book, his book. You can go listen to him talk. I'll play you clips and you can compare them and you'll see exactly what I'm talking about, because what Trump's bringing in is Klaus Schwab's AI governance. While they distract you with nonsensical issues like DEI, who's getting pardoned, how they could subconsciously brainwash you into thinking that we need to remove people from office who have been playing the role because they're actors. So all these buffoons who are Democrats going into Congress, talking about DEI, talking about trans, getting your kids transitioned. This has been driving sane people nuts, right? So by design, they've made you want these people removed because that's what they've wanted from the get-go. These people who were never voted in the first place. This entire system is controlled. Your vote never counted in the first place. Now they're making you beg for them to be removed so that they can give you their solution, which is AI governance, right? So while this is occurring, while Trump makes this announcement about Stargate, about gene editing, these are the stories that are out there, right? By design, keep you thinking surface level. Trump goes to mass, right? He tweets this whole thing out about a bishop who spoke at the National Prayer Service, who called out Trump, who called out J.D. Vance, pretty much saying, hey, you know, we need love and love wins. All this stuff, this is main level psychosis. This is how they keep you stuck inside the left-right paradigm, by talking about nonsensical things. So while Donald Trump is passing all of these globalist initiatives, including the 10 Kingdom Plan, which is acquiring Greenland and Canada, which is part of the Club of Rome's, okay, New World Order blueprint for 10 kingdoms, pay attention. This is the stuff they want you to think about. So if you didn't see this clip, let me just show it to you real quick.
In the name of our God, I ask you to have mercy upon the people in our country who are scared now. There are gay, lesbian, and transgender children in Democratic, Republican, and independent families. Some who fear for their lives. And the people who pick our crops and clean our office buildings, who labor in poultry farms and meatpacking plants, who wash the dishes after we eat in restaurants and work the night shifts in hospitals, they may not be citizens or have the proper documentation. But the vast majority of immigrants are not criminals. They pay taxes and are good neighbors. They are faithful members of our churches and mosques, synagogues, wadara, and temples. I ask you to have mercy, Mr. President, on those in our communities whose children fear that their parents will be taken away.
So that's surface level thinking. So while he announces these things, they have all of MAGA, all the people out there who think they're awake, thinking about these things that shouldn't even be discussed. In a normal society, these things that they continue to try to normalize wouldn't be discussed. And they know this. They know that it's going to drive people insane, except a small portion. Talking about castrating kids and getting kids transitions, transitioning their gender and pronouns. That's done by design. It's to irritate you and make you focus on these nonsense issues while behind your back, really in front of your face, they're building out a new world order, right? You see these stuff, Jimmy Kimmel. Trump signs crazy executive orders, gets mad at church, and these are the things they keep everybody talking about. Pay attention, okay? I'll play for you Klaus Schwab now talking about AI governance. This is the blueprint of what a new world order is, ladies and gentlemen. I know it's hard for a lot of people to understand because they don't even know what AI is yet. And they're trying to do this so fast that you won't realize what it is until it's too late, until it's in place. So here's Klaus Schwab talking about everything run through AI, including human beings, right? And that's part of what I'll get into with the Neuralink and Elon Musk. And you'll notice, too, Tucker Carlson sitting in the front row, because that's what I'm talking about when I say controlled media. Everybody on YouTube likes to fight about who's a shill and who's not a shill, right? While these other clowns like Ben Shapiro and Tucker Carlson are literally government operatives who pretend to be for truth, who talk on small topics like gender and some stuff with the CIA, but never cross a line and keep you stuck in the left-right paradigm. Here is Klaus Schwab. Listen to everything he's saying. He's talking about what Donald Trump just passed, the $500 billion bill to bring in AI infrastructure to America. This is what they're going to do around the earth. AI infrastructure, AI governance.
How much progress we have made as a humankind. And when I was speaking here 7 years ago, after having written a book about the fourth industrial revolution, I showed how this revolution will change how we live, how we act, how we communicate, how we produce, and how we consume. Now, we are speaking not just about the fourth industrial revolution. We are speaking about the transition of humankind into a new era. And I did something maybe unusual. I took ChatGPT and I had a long discussion with ChatGPT, with my pot, if I may say so, to see how this new era will look like. And finally, I had about 20 pages of text, and I asked ChatGPT, summarize the text and tell me now, based on our discussion, how will the new era, the intelligent era, look like? And I read you the text. Envisioning a future propelled by the technologies of the fourth industrial revolution, we see a new dawn of human civilization where artificial intelligence, robotics, the Internet of the Things, 3D printing, genetic engineering, quantum computing become the foundations of our daily life.
So Klaus Schwab out of his own mouth is talking about this, right? Now we can move on to what this is called, right? Trump's Stargate AI announcement. And don't believe any of the propaganda about Elon Musk pushing back on Stargate because some of the companies involved aren't his company. This is part of the prison. The illusion of freedom, the illusion of choice, the illusion of this company versus that. It's an illusion. They're all under the same umbrella. They all get paid our tax money that's laundered to them in the illusion that they're corporations who are buying and selling products. The products that we all have, or the majority of people have, cell phones and everything, they give them to you for free. They would hand them to you for free. The illusion is that you buy it, that you're having a choice whether or not you want a Samsung or an iPhone. This whole system runs through technology, and it blows up without it. So Project Stargate is a CIA operation which involved remote viewing, and it involved telepathy, okay? So there's a reason they chose that, because artificial intelligence is going to be used as we move forward with this AI governance, using things like telepathy, as crazy as it sounds, okay? So the CIA Stargate project was studying telepathy and remote viewing, things that people don't believe are actually real because they've been told that they're not real so far. But Elon Musk's Neuralink is aiming for a future of superhuman vision and telepathy. But first, it's going to tackle blindness and paralysis. So that's how they get this normalized, by telling you that they're going to cure blindness and paralysis so that you have to accept it. Because if they just told you that we're going to create this thing called Neuralink and we're going to use telepathy, which is a form of witchcraft, by the way, for anyone that doesn't know, you would say, well, we don't need this. This isn't necessary. But because, well, your neighbor could be blind. So if they're going to develop this stuff, it's only fair for them that they unleash it to the world and let everybody have a choice to choose. And of course, at first it starts as a choice. But then it turns into the mark of the beast, of course, where you'll have to make a choice if you want to buy or sell ever again. You're going to have this technology implanted in your body. And they don't have to implant it via surgery. They can implant it via a needle, which ties into that gene editing stuff that I talked about earlier with Trump. So Elon Musk has predicted 1 million humans will be augmented by Neuralink by 2050. Neuralink is developing a brain chip called telepathy, which could enable telepathic communication. The chip is designed to intercept brain signals and retransmit them to other parts of the body or to devices like computers. They are trying to normalize this, where they're going to tell you that the things that you think on your brain, if you're somebody with Parkinson's or someone who can't communicate, will be delivered to a computer. And this is a miracle, right? It's a form of sorcery and witchcraft. And guess what they don't tell you? That those computers are really going to be the thing that transmit to your brain, aka full-on mind control, okay? Now, here is a clip I'll play for you for anybody out there that wants more information about Project Stargate remote viewing and how this entire thing is going to work.
The CIA is hiding this from us. It's called remote viewing. Imagine being able to see any place or event in the past or the future with just the power of your mind. During the Cold War, the United States government was convinced that the Soviets had mastered extrasensory perception. They believed that Soviet mind soldiers were spying on American installations, foreseeing future threats, and locating hostages. This prompted the United States to fast-track Project Stargate, pouring millions into the venture. So how does remote viewing work? A trained military psychic sits in a dark and silent room. They clear their mind and focus on a target they've never seen. They use what ancient cultures called the third eye. But here is where it gets darker. This is not a new concept. The ancient Egyptians, Greeks, and Chinese had seers who could foresee events and describe distant locations. The Indian Vedas even speak of sages with extraordinary vision. Even the Bible is filled with stories of prophets who has visions of the future. Could the CIA have discovered ancient secrets to harness this power? The declassified documents suggest that they've explored connections to occult practices and hidden knowledge from lost civilizations, even learning techniques from secret texts and ancient artifacts. Just think about it. Why would the government invest so heavily into something unless they knew it worked? Do you think they are still using remote viewing today?
So from there, let's go back to Donald Trump talking about this $500 billion investment called Stargate. He is building AI data centers in Texas. This is literally the type of thing you should be thinking about when crap hits the fan. And I'm sure the military will be there protecting their quantum computing data centers. But remember, the data that they are trying to harvest is you, okay? So they're building out these large, massive, they are going to be massive AI data centers around the earth. That's how they're going to be able to create this AI governance through quantum computing. If you didn't know, one of my theories I've discussed over the years in regards to the climate initiative, which is very layered in regards to the carbon footprint and enslavement laws. But one of the things about the climate initiative is cooling the earth. They want to cool the earth. Why do they want to cool the earth so much? Because they're worried the ocean's 1 degree higher and things are going to melt, et cetera, et cetera. No, because quantum computers need to be kept at very cold, frigid temperatures. So eventually, for these things to be lined up everywhere, they're going to need to cool the earth big time in order to have these. And if you didn't know, CERN needs to be kept cool as well to keep its superconducting magnets in a superconductive state. And of course, cryogenics, low temperatures, high performance CERN with the 666 logo for anyone out there that doesn't know what's going on at CERN. Well, CERN has that huge thing that some believe is the actual Stargate itself, which was found in Sudan by British Army Colonel Reginald Blumenthal in 1928. There's many stories out there for anybody interested in learning more about the Stargate, but CERN has that Large Hadron Collider, right? That they tell you they're trying to open up black holes with. Yeah, what do you think they're trying to bring over? What do you think they're trying to open up a black hole to do? Now, the common person doesn't believe in demons and demonic spirits, but they do believe in ghosts, right? You ask the majority of people, they think ghosts are real because, of course, they've been trained to believe that. in the theory of all these movies and shows about ghosts and mediums. That's to normalize, of course, what eventually will be occurring here when these things are summoned forward. But guess what? It won't be Grandma who's coming over from the other side to teach you her famous turkey gravy recipe, okay? It won't be who you think it is. It'll be what you fear it likely will be. So CERN, for anybody out there that doesn't know, CERN, which is the Center for Scientific Research, has been involved in a discovery that could be related to the fictional Stargate device. And for anyone out there that doesn't understand about quantum computing and what they're trying to do at CERN, and even the movie Stargate, let me play for you these clips. Okay, these are clips from CERN themselves, from shows that you've seen like Stranger Things, which the entire theme of these shows is exactly what they're trying to do here on Earth, with opening holes, opening portals. You may have noticed this theme of portals, which I've broken down a lot over the last couple of years, okay? There's a reason that Trump has named this Stargate, going back to CIA Project Stargate, and this has everything to do with AI, super quantum computers running our lives. And it's not what you think it is. Here's a look at Stargate, the movie, as well as some of these other clips I put together over the years that explain it in a little more detail, or different detail, I should say.
It has been buried for thousands of years. A mystery. A secret. A threshold to the future.
Where'd you find this?
One man will break the code and open the door.
Well, I should read Stargate.
What is it?
We've opened a doorway to a world we know nothing about.
It's on the other side of the known universe.
But they could never have imagined this.
Your job here is to realign the Stargate.
Stargate.
Have existed for over 100,000 years. You weren't so different from apes. How long did it take you to discover agriculture? It took you 90,000 years to get from hunter-gatherer to farmer. How long did it take you to become industrialists? Atomic power, computers, the information age. And how long do you think it took us to get from hunting to farming, and farming to industry, and industry to atomic power? We are going to kill your science. It's a proton. One we have turned into a sentient computer. The universe has more dimensions than the 3 we occupy, but we have the technology to unfold them. We summon energies you cannot imagine. Even a tiny proton becomes something very large. A proton has virtually no mass. To the places where your best minds explore reality. Every civilization ends in chaos. There will eventually be a cataclysm from which we cannot recover. Our planet will be ripped in half.
Well, basically, there are parallel universes, infinite variations of it.
Like the Veil of Shadows.
And the tightrope is our dimension. And our dimension has rules. You can move forwards or backwards. The flea can also travel this way.
Upside down.
Exactly.
Is there any way for the acrobat to get to the upside down?
You'd have to create a massive amount of energy. Open up some kind of tear in time and space. You create a doorway, like a gate. It might even swallow us up whole.
Now, have you heard of the Garrow Research Facility?
In Long Island, the particle accelerator?
Yeah.
It actually splits the proton of the atom.
Well, you know more than I do.
Well, it's a 14-mile loop that accelerates electrons and protons close to the speed of light.
Local parishes in Ryland are protesting. The particle accelerator will open the gates of hell.
So the scientists, they want us to prove they're not opening the gates of hell.
What's that? Something that was filmed down in the particle accelerator.
Satan, help us open this portal. We deliver this sacrifice to you.
The Vatican is asking you to investigate and write up a report.
It's a prank, right?
Well, I don't know. That's your job.
They make that video, Doctor.
We're in a friendly competition with CERN, particle accelerator in Switzerland. They did a similar video making fun of the satanic panic about their opening. So what can we do to convince you we are not Satan worshippers?
I mean, it's just the name that the night ship calls it. B-33. On the proton collider. They broke through something. But there's something there. Something under the concrete. A creature. They dragged that woman into it.
That's where the beams converge.
Oh, and your safeguards.
Beams are accelerated around the loop at 13,000 revolutions per second.
Any concern about an uncontrollable black hole?
Is that going to happen?
I know. Just humor me.
So as Elon Musk said, right, what did he say in the beginning of the video? With artificial intelligence, we're literally summoning the demon.
I mean, with artificial intelligence, we are summoning the demon.
Literally summoning the demon. So everybody out there who finds my videos who's in MAGA, they have a real tough time with this because they can't get past surface level thinking. They feel like they're under attack, and that's, of course, because they've been built up as narcissists in their mind. They refuse to believe truth. They've been fed government conspiracies. All these rabbit holes the government's created, like the island that Jeffrey has and Diddy's house, and all this stuff they've given you is by design to make you think you're catching on to truth, that we're getting rid of the deep state. When you're in the deep state, that is a deep state script being fed and manufactured to you to keep you distracted from the actual stuff going on underground that all your people you support, like Donald Trump, are also involved in. Both sides working together. They created that, of course, because they got concerned after that event happened at that pizza parlor, and they didn't want people to start waking up to the real ones that were going on, the real rings. Instead, they wanted to give you manufactured ones so that there was never an end to the tunnel and never an end to the rabbit hole. There was nothing or no one to be held accountable because you were going to put your faith in Donald Trump that he was going to hold them accountable, right? This is all happening in front of us. They're talking about all these issues that are non-issues, right? Whose gender's what? Why is the woke pastor calling out Trump and J.D. Vance? These are the things that the people are getting upset about. On the same day that Donald Trump is openly talking about, once again, RNA, and getting that inside of you. The same thing we all warned about. He's doing it right now while telling you AI governance is upon us. That is the blueprint of the World Economic Forum. I played you Klaus Schwab's clip. I played dozens of them, hundreds over the years, trying to break this down. You got to come out of the left-right paradigm. It is a trap. It is a hole. If you don't pay attention to what they're really trying to build out, you're going to get sucked in to the mark of the beast. You're likely not even going to know what it is. Most Christians don't even know what it is because the 501c3 churches don't teach anything about the book of Revelation, or you can see prophecy playing out right in front of us. They teach you about all these mainstream narratives about gender, and they keep you stuck in these things that are nonsensical. They're nonsense. And that's the point. They're driving people insane by trying to pretend like they want to normalize nonsense so that you get irate. And these are the stories you're drawn into instead of paying attention to what they're trying to build out, which is the New World Order. That's what AI governance is. You can't connect everybody unless you got AI governance and AI infrastructure. You can't. That's how it's done. That's the recreation of the Tower of Babel. So they're sabotaging the current government infrastructure, telling you it's all incompetent fools. We're going to fire so-and-so. We're going to audit the IRS. Things that you're going to cheer for. You're going to love it because they've made you subconsciously want these things. And of course, nobody wants the IRS. And nobody wants these buffoons who are in Congress, but they weren't voted in the first place. That's the point. So now they're doing what they had planned to do all along. They're cleaning them out. They're throwing them out. And then you're going to go, well, what do we do now? We're going to put Republicans in? They're going to go, no. We're just going to put AI in their place, and you could have more tax money back. And you're going to go, I can have more money back? Yeah, for now. So you accept our AI governance, and then you realize suddenly there's no jobs. We're dependent on artificial intelligence. Nobody can farm or do anything on their own. And suddenly, everybody's making universal basic income, which, again, is one of the strong talking points of Elon Musk over the last decade. He is literally the face of universal basic income. It doesn't hide it. Just MAGA doesn't see it because they only see what they want to see. This isn't a left thing. It's not a right thing. It's an awakening thing. Stop being a sheeple and come out of the matrix. Because literally the matrix, when they talk about the red pill and the blue pill, talking about the left and the right, that's why they call it the red pill and the blue pill, right? They never talk about not taking any pill at all, right? And actually seeing the matrix for what it is. It's a simulation. And that means that the news is manufactured. The news is out there to distract you, to draw you in, to create fake events, and tell you that they're real. These events that happen at schools, these events that happen with United Healthcare CEOs, all manufactured. It's fake news. When they say fake news, they want you to think that it's CNN because they talk and bash Trump. No. It's fake because the stories on the news are government creations. They act and carry them out. It's called black ops. They're called false flags and psyops. If you knew that the news was fake, could you imagine your whole perception of what reality would be? You'd be awake because you'd realize that every time you're turning it on, it's a man-made event. So all the things that you're thinking are happening in the world aren't happening. They're manufacturing them and distracting you while Donald Trump, the man who's supposed to rid us of the deep state, is bringing in the deep state. And what's the alt-right media like Alex Jones doing? They're distracting you. They're distracting you with January 6th pardon people and, oh, Trump's getting rid of the WHO. Oh, yeah, he's the father of the vax, right? He's getting rid of the WHO. Yeah, we can trust him. He's just talking about RNA in the same day he's talking about AI governance. And guess what? That substance that they want to get inside of you is going to connect you to this AI governance system because that's what it's all about when they talk about the Neuralink and they talk about telepathy. It's about getting this tech in your body. So they chose Stargate for a reason, and they obviously chose Donald Trump for a reason because they knew that people would just be so thrilled that they didn't have to see Joe Biden and Kamala Harris embarrassing, falling upstairs on TV, talking about people's genders. They don't want to see that stuff anymore. And instead of a revolution, they've given you the solution, the fake solution, Donald Trump. So they're just going, I don't want to pay attention to that AI infrastructure. That's not what it is. It's not a bad thing. It's a great thing. Why is this pastor at church yelling at J.D. Vance and Donald Trump? It's simple-minded thinking for simple-minded fools. I thank everyone for being here. Hope you're all doing well. God bless you and your families, as always.
Friends say you have to go to that new place, which you have zero time for. Fortunately, DoorDash knows all your neighborhood hotspots. Shake up your dinner routine. Order with DoorDash.
Our main story tonight concerns forced monkey labour on coconut plantations. It is real, by the way. Monkeys are apparently captured and raised to harvest coconuts. And you're probably thinking, oh, fuck. This is going to ruin coconuts for me, isn't it? I'm never going to be able to enjoy them again without the mental image of a chained-up monkey forced to work long hours in the Thai sun for pay that is, I'm guessing, well below Thai monkey minimum wage. Well, I've got some good news. We're not actually talking about blood coconuts tonight. That was just a decoy, so you'd be less bummed out when I revealed our real topic, Israel. Now, oh yes, suddenly, forced monkey labour sounds pretty good to you, doesn't it? Oh, please, John, tell me about the sad monkeys. Is one named Bobo? Is he already dead? No? Sorry, you had your chance. We're doing Israel. Israel is a country that I'm guessing you're already aware of, but in case you need a primer on its exact size and location, here is someone with a helpful visual.
It's a small country in terms of land. See this pen, this wonderful pen? My desk is the Middle East. And this pen, the top of the pen, that's Israel. That's not good, right? You know, that's a pretty big difference. I use that as an analogy. It's pretty accurate, actually.
So, that's objectively very funny, from him calling the pen wonderful to holding it up vertically, the only wrong way to hold it if you're comparing it to a country on a horizontal map, to taking credit for that analogy as if it weren't definitely how an exhausted aide just taught him the size of Israel minutes before. Specifically, we're going to talk about Israel's Prime Minister, Benjamin Netanyahu, Bibi if you're nasty, otherwise known as the original source material for Mr. Potato Head. Netanyahu has been in power on and off since 1996, to the point that he's actually Israel's longest-serving Prime Minister, and for decades, he's portrayed himself as the only person capable of keeping Israel safe, sometimes making that argument through fun campaign ads like this one, where a couple are getting ready to go out, wondering where their babysitter is, when this happens.
אוי, ראש הממשלה. איזה כבוד. מה אתה עושה פה?
הזמנתם בייביסיטר? קיבלתם ביביסיטר. איפה הילדים?
אבל אתה ראש הממשלה. אתה תשמור לנו על הילדים?
בבחירות הקרובות אתם בוחרים מי ישמור על הילדים שלנו. בבחירות הקרובות מצביעים רק הליכוד.
Yeah, I mean, I guess the name BB does kind of sound like the word baby, but it is a bit of a stretch, though to be fair, it's not the worst use of a nickname in a political campaign, because that would be when Richard Nixon was the subject of campaign buttons that said, "My pick is Dick," which would actually be a great prop for a gender reveal party. Come in, guess how many diapers, then grab a button that's either "My pick is Dick" or "I got twat." Bad news, the losing team has to listen to the mother-in-law tell her birth story. Netanyahu's argument to voters has always been that he's a big, strong guy who won't let Israel get pushed around. And even some of his most ardent supporters describe him as a belligerent piece of shit. Here are some explaining their support for him ahead of an election in the 90s.
Only Bibi. He's the #1 politician in the country. Bibi Netanyahu. He has a mouth that can wrap the whole country around his finger.
We need a prime minister to stand up to the world, not a sucker. Someone who knows how to lie, too. We need a prime minister who's an asshole son of a bitch.
Wow! That is pretty damning. What kind of person are you when even your biggest fans are going, "This guy's a fucking nightmare, it's a yes from me"? Also, stop interviewing that guy while he's still driving. No one wants a news alert that says 12-car pile-up on the highway, we were first on the scene, because we kind of caused it. And in recent years, Netanyahu's pushed that whole notion of a strong offense to the absolute limits. Just this year, he's continued to preside over the longest and deadliest war in Israel's history. He's starved Gaza, bombed Iran, and carried out airstrikes in Qatar, Yemen, Syria, and Lebanon. It seems like someone gave him a rise and grind coffee mug, and he took it sociopathically literally. But it is worth knowing Netanyahu and his coalition are not currently that popular in Israel. Polls continue to show his coalition would lose the next election were it to be held today. And many of his fellow politicians don't seem big fans either, with Bibi's former ambassador to the US saying he's unable to distinguish between personal and political interests, and even this minister in his government calling him at one point a danger to the state of Israel, which is pretty direct from a political ally. In this country, the most damning thing a Republican's been brave enough to say publicly about Trump was Mitch McConnell suggesting we're living through a time with certain similarities to the 30s. And if you thinking, wait, did he mean that thing or just that ankle hemlines are coming back in fashion? The answer's neither. He was apparently referring to the Smoot-Hawley tariff bill, which is definitely where all our heads went when he dropped the 1930s reference. But despite all that, Netanyahu always seems to find a way to hang on to power. He's been unseated as Prime Minister twice, only to come back each time. The point is, years from now, when people tell the story of Israel's brutality in Gaza, they'll need to talk about the history of Israel's founding mission, the complex politics of the Middle East, America's choice to give more military aid to Israel than any other country in history, and 1,000 other things. But they'll also need to tell the story of one Benjamin Netanyahu, a man so singularly focused on remaining in power, he's allied with the most extreme voices in his country. So given that, tonight, let's talk about Netanyahu. And let's start with some background. He grew up with a father who was a well-known proponent of an uncompromising form of Zionism called revisionist Zionism, which focused on the need for a military force strong enough to compel the Arabs to accept a Jewish state on their native land. Bibi actually spent some formative years in the US, attending high school in Philadelphia. In his mid-20s, his brother Yoni, a commander in the IDF, was killed while rescuing more than 100 Israelis who'd been taken hostage after a plane hijacking, and he was hailed as a national hero. And following that, Bibi, who was still living in the US and going by Ben Nitai, began to get more attention, and he got pretty good at arguing Israel's case. Here he is on a Boston area TV show.
Mr. Nitai, is the issue of self-determination the core of the conflict in the Middle East?
No, I don't believe it is. The real core of the conflict is the unfortunate Arab refusal to accept the state of Israel.
Yeah, that was a young Netanyahu defending Israel on Boston TV. That program, by the way, Talking Sacks with Chip and Chowder. Over the years, the show's held some surprisingly nuanced debates on issues like the Mideast conflict, as well as exactly how many penises Derek Jeter could fit in his mouth. Now, after returning to Israel, Netanyahu got into international diplomacy, becoming ambassador to the UN, and ultimately moved into politics as chair of the right-wing Likud party, where he made his name campaigning against the historic Oslo Accords. They, famously, laid out a framework for Israel negotiating peace with the Palestinians. And Netanyahu, in particular, railed against the prime minister who signed those accords on Israel's behalf, Yitzhak Rabin. Bibi went scorched earth, even speaking at an